been a while since I've done one of these. I wanted to do one for the Inazuma Chronicled Wish or Mavwika banner, but I had no access to my PC back then. With Genshin 6.0 update coming out and then my plans to pull on Sumeru Chronicled Wish, I decided it was time to add another one to the series of drawing Genshin characters I pull. So here we are. Yep. Hi Layla. If you look on the sidebar, you'll see that I drew Layla before. That was because I got her for some reason even though she wasn't featured on Venti's banner. Obviously, she'll be in the Sumeru Chronicled Wish because she's from Sumeru. I decided to draw her anyways though because the goal is drawing who I pulled. So, congratulations Layla, you're the first character to be drawn twice here. Of course, in typical Genshin character fashion, she was difficult to draw thanks to the details. I was willing to put up with her though, since I actually adore her in the game and was happy to get another constellation for her. Now, these pulls were on my America account, so over there she's C5. I thought about doing my Europe pulls for this video, but decided that it'll be way too much work for the little time I have. So this is a shorter episode of this just because I got pretty lucky, and I'll explain why later. For now, I'll talk about my thoughts on drawing this. I knew I had to at least make this drawing different than my last one. I did struggle to come up with a pose though. I feel like posing is just so difficult in art, at least for me. Hands and feet are a close second. Luckily, I never have to draw feet because I rarely do full body illustrations, but hands are a different story. I will say that this drawing is a little scuffed, but then again, it's rare for my first drawings to ever end up looking good in these things. I absolutely love Layla's design though. I think it's gorgeous. It's part of why I love her. She's also so real, like I relate to her. She's just a sleep-deprived college student basically. Not to mention in-game, she's very useful. So yeah, I have a lot of reasons to love her. I just wish I did her second drawing better, but oh well. I mean, the fact that she has 2 drawings from me means she's special enough. I would say that compared to the other drawings in this, I got hers done the fastest. Part of it was because I had already drawn her once, so it's easier this time. The other part was because I didn't get as distracted with her drawing. The week I recorded and edited this was tiring as usual, so I found myself doom scrolling a lot more while I was drawing. This, of course, distracts me, so I'll end up spending an entire day for one simple piece when in reality, I don't need to spend nearly that much time on something. I ended up having to speed everything else up an ungodly amount because of it. It's actually worse with video editing though because it's tedious, and this is why I end up spending a day or two editing a video because yikes. But okay, back to Layla. I don't have too many comments on the line art or flat colors. For Layla, I think those are generally easy. She doesn't have any complicated patterns in her clothes, which is good. The bulk of her design is just the specific clothing pieces she has rather than any actual patterns. At most, I just had to draw some triangles on some parts. I likely missed a few details though. That tends to happen when I draw Genshin characters. You can tell that the characters are designed for a game because of all the details. Best believe that if I was trying to make a comic, I'd make these designs a lot simpler. I could have tried to simplify the designs for the other characters, but nah. I think it's better if I push myself to try to get most of the details down, and push myself I did. You'll see it with the next one. Anyways, I don't think I have much else to talk about with Layla's art, so let me show you guys the final piece. Here is the final drawing. Again, it's definitely not my best one in this video, but it's something to start us all off. 76. Okay, let's see. Oh. Yes, you saw it folks. I lost my 50-50 to Alhaitham, which if you really think about it, isn't really a loss. Alhaitham is one of the characters I want. Fun fact, when I first got into Genshin back in January, yes, I know, I'm extremely late. I said I wanted to be an Alhaitham main because, well, I don't know why. I mean, anyways, guess this was just meant to be or something. Alhaitham is definitely very hot, so I knew I had to try and do him justice. Except I didn't, and I struggled so hard with this drawing. I wanted to do perspective at first, which is why things look wonky. I think in the end, I did like a tad bit of perspective. Just very slight. If you squint, you'll see it. Trust guys. Okay, but delusions aside, Alhaitham is hard to draw in general. He has a good amount of detail and he's also hot. Yes, I will put emphasis on the fact that he is hot, because that's most of the challenge. I can't be doing him dirty in my art. And looking at this, well, I don't think I did that good with him. But if I draw him again in the future, I'll do better. But most of the art I create nowadays has to work for YouTube too, so I can maintain a weekly schedule. So it's a little tough, but it's fine. If I have some downtime, I can try. Figuring out the pose for this man was painful. Then there was also figuring out a composition. Obviously, I did something in the end, but still. I think a lot of my time was wasted on doing all that. I did want to do a full body illustration to keep up with how I did a full body for both Farina and Venti, but when I was doing this, I just couldn't figure out a good composition that works. So I ended up doing like a half body instead for both of the 5-star drawings. Yes, you heard that right. I got 2 5 stars here. This is the part where I mentioned my luck because after burning through my pulls to get Al-Haytham, I lost hope. I didn't have enough pulls if I was to be pushed at hard pity. But luckily, Wanderer came home early, at like 20-ish pity, but still. That's a huge deal to me because I could focus on my Europe account. So pretty much, I won in life here because I snagged both Wanderer who I wanted as well as Al-Haytham. The only thing that was bad is having to build both of them. Especially Al-Haytham because I'm afraid it was Tainari against the world for the longest time. Anyways, that's enough yapping about the game. I'm sure you guys want to hear more about the art. The amount of brain cells I lost while trying to do line art for Al-Haytham is insane. Like I said, he had a good amount of detail to him. I love Al-Haytham's design too, especially his hair. I have a thing for men with side part and long bangs. Bonus points if they cover one of their eyes with their bangs. It's safe to say that I at least enjoyed doing his hair. I also enjoyed doing his eyes. He has bottom eyelashes in his original character model, so I put those into this drawing too. I love it when men have long bottom eyelashes like that. Except sometimes I feel like I fumble drawing those bottom eyelashes, which is embarrassing. I don't know. Sometimes when I do it, it doesn't look right. But maybe that's just me. I think here, they're actually okay this time, which is good. Okay, so this might turn into me yapping about everything I struggled on, but I feel like you always have more to say when something isn't going smoothly or something is difficult. Aside from my scuffed attempt at perspective, which honestly doesn't look like that here, but shush. I think the background was another problem. I didn't really have a scene in mind for this, and the pose didn't exactly lend itself to anything. I was searching up inspiration pictures and then decided that I'll just draw his elemental burst. Well, sort of anyways. It's not accurate whatsoever, but the idea is there. I was already going to draw him with the chisel light mirrors he has from his elemental skills, so I may as well. There was a lot of geometry, straight lines and everything. I'm not good at drawing straight lines personally, so I was in fact hard carried by the line tool. But hey, if the tool is there, we should use it. I think the background did go by relatively fast though, because I'm not drawing a scene or anything. I just had to put down some lines and effects. So for the coloring and shading process itself, yeah, as you can guess, a bit painful, but it could be worse. Al-Haytham has a few details I needed to draw into the flat colors. Then obviously he has metal in his design, or at least what looks like it in my eyes, which also meant I was going to suffer shading it. Shading the clothes for this was not fun, but it was satisfying to see everything come together in the end. I just hope that I didn't make this drawing too chopped and that it was okay. I know when I was trying to do my signature rendering technique that's really nothing special, but let me pretend. I was just confused on the lighting situation. I mean, I did something. That's all that matters. Anyways, the speed paint is wrapping up, so let me show you the final piece. Here is the final piece. I definitely want to draw Al-Haytham again in the future, but mostly to do him justice in a future drawing. I won't be looking forward to the clothes, but hey, no pain, no gain. Obviously, this is my second favorite one. My favorite one will be at the end because I'm biased like that. I can't be too mad. I did kind of want Al-Haytham. Oh! So the next character I had to draw is Sethos. I'll be honest when I say that I wasn't as motivated for this one. It's mostly because he's one of the characters I beef with. So in Europe, I have C2 Xingqiu. I obviously want the same in America because I am absolutely greedy like that. Sethos was featured on a banner alongside Xingqiu and Fischl. It was the Inefa and Sitlali banner, by the way. I didn't want to do a bunch of 10 pulls on those banners because the Chronicled Wish is what I was saving for. So I did like maybe 1 10 pull and some singles. Instead of C2 Xingqiu, I have C2 Sethos. And yeah, I'm absolutely salty about it. It's not that he's a bad unit, guys. I just hate getting stuff for characters I don't actively use. Not to mention with this constellation I got, he's at C3 now. I was going to get his cons anyways from the Sumeru Chronicled Wish. In Europe, it was worse, because I kept getting him when I tried for Sit Lolly there because I had a guarantee and needed more cryo. I was hoping for C6 Xingqiu. Well, after my current Sumeru Chronicled Wishes, yeah, I have C6 Sethos instead there. So safe to say I have major beef with him. But I think as a character, if we ignored the gacha stuff, I wouldn't have much of an opinion of him in the story. I think I mentioned in a previous video that I typically like characters if they're featured in an Archon quest. Another thing is doing any other supplemental content, then the final thing would be their gameplay. Let's just say Sethos didn't stand out to me when I did Sino's story quest. Like, there was some interesting lore, but it wasn't enough to get me attached. Then there's the fact that I had other Electro characters I loved more, so yeah. So sorry to the Sethos mains out there. Despite all of this though, I still had to do my best on this drawing, and I'd say this one turned out better than Layla's, so that's something. If I looked at his design purely from an artistic point of view and cut out all of my earlier thoughts, I'd say he actually has a pretty nice design. His hair is really pretty. Like, the style is absolutely gorgeous. I think he's kind of pleasing to look at thanks to his color palette. It's not a design where I'm like, oh, I'm in love with this, but it's not a bad design. I think a lot of playable characters in Genshin have good designs. They sort of have to. How else will Hoyo get people to pull for them? Now, I wouldn't say his design is that tough from the shoulders up. He has more details than Layla, but it's manageable. He wasn't that bad to color and shade either. I think he was relatively simple purely because we didn't have that much metal. So even if I got distracted during his sketch, I was able to get everything else done relatively fast. But of course, the speed paint is ending soon, so let me show the final illustration. Here is the final drawing. I think it turned out pretty decent. Now, of course, I have one more drawing for this video. The most important one. Of course I managed to get him. So far, I've gotten all of the 5 stars I wanted from the videos I did this with, but that was only because of a guarantee. In Venti's, it was capturing Radiance that happened. I mean, this video could have just ended off with Alhaitham and a couple of other 4 stars, but nope, Wanderer was nice to me. And with Wanderer completes my short Animo Men collection on my Genshin accounts, so I can rest easy now. If I had to rank how hard it was to get all of them, Xiao was the most difficult, then Kazuha was the second most difficult, Venti was alright to get, and now Wanderer was the easiest to get. Because guess what? I actually won my 50-50 for him in Europe, and it doesn't matter that it was hard pity. Because it was a 50-50 win, he just automatically gets the top spot. Now, I actually really like him, so of course, that meant I had to put as much effort as I can with this drawing. You'll probably see me struggle with figuring out the pose a lot though. I really wanted to do a full body, but it just wasn't working. I'm better at getting closer shots, and also, I wanted to draw his face in more detail. I've actually always wanted to draw him. I now have an excuse to do so, which is great. So I knew what I wanted to do for this piece, and that was I wanted to draw him flying in the air. At least I had a direction which made the process a lot easier. Since he's flying, I looked up how he looks with his elemental skill. For those that don't know, his elemental skill allows him to fly and attack people in the air. When he's flying, it seems like he just sacrifices his hat and then some parts of his outfit glow. So that's what I did. It would have been nice to draw him with the hat though. Maybe in a future drawing. I will say that my idiot ass forgot to draw his vision though, so you'll see me struggle to draw it in the line art. I was fighting for my life there. In terms of design, I think the only hard thing about Wanderer's design is the pattern he has on his clothing. I mean, yeah, he has extra stuff on it too, but it's seriously not as bad as the patterns I had to draw on his sleeve things. I don't know if they're actually sleeves, but they were definitely no ordinary pieces. Still though, I very much enjoyed the process of drawing him. I will say that I actually love the way I did his hair. I didn't think it would translate well into my art style, but in my opinion, it turned out nicely. I also had fun figuring out his facial features for my art style. Obviously, I'm biased here, but this was the most satisfying piece I did for the video. And of course, when I do rendering, it'll tie everything together. But unfortunately, this piece took the longest. Combined with the moderate details, I was also very distracted during many parts of it. Like I said, I have a doom scrolling problem when I do art or any other important thing. I guess I just want to put off these things a little bit longer, but I can't do that here. I'm just glad I managed to get this piece done in an okay-ish amount of time. Now that I look back at it, his background is pretty similar to Venti's, like in terms of the vibes. They're both in the sky at night with the moon. I'm sure if I was able to draw for the Inazuma Chronicled Wish and I got Kazuha, I would have probably given him something like that too. My favorite backgrounds to draw are definitely the backgrounds at night in front of a moon. And considering that Nod Cry was just released as of working on this video, I think having a moon is fitting. Though obviously with the final illustration, Wanderer is kind of the main point. I added a good amount of effects to this drawing like those wind blade things. I think the drawing will look pretty plain without them. So the background did go by pretty quickly since it was simple. I mean, it's a moon, so how hard could it really be? After I finished with the background, I moved on to the actual flat colors for this. As I mentioned earlier, Wanderer has some patterns on his clothing. They aren't exactly simple, so I spent a good amount of time on those. Was it annoying? A tiny bit, but I dealt with it because I like him as a character. Not to mention, it all looked really good in the end when I finished it, so it was well worth it. I'm not sure if I have any other thoughts to say about this though. I think most of this went pretty smoothly aside from like whatever I mentioned earlier. But I will say that I did slack off on the rendering a bit. I was tired at that point, so yeah. But anyways, since I have nothing else to say, let me show the final illustration. Here is the final illustration. So this is my favorite one I did in this video, and I think you can all see why. Hopefully you all enjoyed this video. I definitely love doing these kinds of videos because it gives me an excuse to draw some of these characters. Anyways, I'd appreciate a like and subscribe if you can. Maybe I'll see you all in the next one, but until then, bye!